Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. Standing by with me is a distinguished member of the Nigerian Senate, a senator representing Enugu West, who is also the Deputy Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu. You're very welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
Well, you've heard the various perspectives surrounding this issue of state police. We know where you stand, but can you give us a clearer sense of why your position is what it is?
Well, let me thank you for this opportunity. First of all, as somebody who is opportune to be in government and probably can be described as one of the leaders of this country, I consider it my responsibility to pursue matters that will give protection to the people of Nigeria. And as a member of government, I'm also of the view, and I recognize the fact, that under our constitution, the primary purpose of government is the protection of lives and property and the welfare of the people. And so on account of this, we need to review from time to time our actions, especially as regards the protection of lives and property and the welfare of the people. And you can see that presently the country is challenged in many directions, and one of the major areas of concern is the security sector. You can see people are killed every day, some people are kidnapped, and people are robbed, and we can't continue that way. So something needs to be done. So it's on account of this that we started looking at what options we have. And one of them is the issue of decentralizing our policing. You see, the society is created in such a way that they come with a whole lot of responsibilities, and these responsibilities, they require some privileges, some powers, in order to carry out those responsibilities. And one of these responsibilities, as I said, is the issue of protection of lives and properties. And that's why the Constitution, and indeed in the formation of the society, the government is given enormous powers to have control of instruments of coercion. And so what has happened now is that the criminal elements has overwhelmed the government. And so government cannot be able to perform that responsibility, of protecting lives and property. Because what has happened is that that instrument of coercion it's not structured in such a way as to be able to contain the rise in criminality. So we need to look at it again and see if there's anything we are doing wrongly that we need to be able to reform and do it correctly. So that is basically the platform.
Senator, there's quite a bit of heavy contrary opinion that it's not so much that, that the federal government is just overwhelmed, but that also they haven't been given the resource. I'm talking of the security agencies now, particularly the police, that they have not been given the resources that they need through appropriation bills, through perhaps the establishment of a trust fund for the police. What are your thoughts about that argument that, they can only operate what they have at the moment?
Well, regrettably, the issue is not funding. If you bring the whole money in the central bank and give it to the police, nothing will change. Certainly nothing. If you do that so with the army, nothing will change. The problem is the structure. It's not the funding. It's not the funding. It's just like now we have a situation where we have primary schools scattered all over the country. And then you are entering the Federal Ministry of Education to hire primary school teachers. No matter how much money you give to them, there are many, many schools that will be forgotten. There are many, many schools without teachers who have teachers. So that's the problem. So we're applying the wrong solution to problems that are clearly within our reach to dissolve.
Let me be more precise. When we talk about the funding issue, of course, if there's corruption in any system, no matter how wonderful the structure is, we would agree that it wouldn't operate properly. Let me ask you, if the funds are not enough, for example, to recruit high-level graduates, for example, into the police force, people who are qualified and competent to do what they're supposed to do, if they don't have the necessary equipment, the logistics, the vehicles, if they don't have the kinds of training that they would need, both domestically and abroad, can we say that the problem is just structure when all of these things are clearly absent in the current context?
No, what they say is just one part of the argument. The point I'm making is that, yes, we need all those. But if you provide them, the problem will still be there, right? Because in Abuja, for instance, you have all kinds of equipment police are using, all kinds of weapons, well-trained policemen. But they killed 7 policemen yesterday. I'm not talking of citizens who die on a daily basis and nobody accounts for them. I'm talking of policemen, those who are trained. That's the issue. Because the criminal elements have overwhelmed the security sector. That's the issue I'm making. So you need to do something. And that's what we're talking about, decentralizing police. I'm sure we're going to go into the meat of the subject.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we talk about state police, there are kind of various iterations of it that you hear. On the one side, you hear that a state governor will essentially build up his own state's police force from scratch with an indigenous force, with the state's resources. On the other hand, you hear that there's the federal system that will be decentralized in such a manner that within each of the states, there will still be an adherence to federal character principle, and that you'll still have the diversity within the states, just the structure being changed so that the commissioner, for example, is reporting to the governor as opposed to the IG. What do you have in mind when you say that the National Assembly is pursuing the creation of state police?
All right, thank you. Now, you see, there have been a lot of fears, misconceptions about the issue of state police. And of course, it's well-founded. But you see, we have an attitude of running away from our problems in this country instead of challenging those problems, confronting them. So I think the best thing for us to confront it, ask ourselves the critical questions. What are those concerns? What are those fears? How do we address them? Who are the people who are worried? Can we dialogue with them so that they can understand the issues? And again, is it something that's necessary? Will it solve the problem? If you can solve the problem, why don't we deal with it and deal with those fears? Let me just take you back in history. You know, the first set of police we had in this country were native authority police, not the national police. The ordinance of 1916 established the native authority police in Nigeria. And it was further enhanced in 1924. Years back, in 1936, the nationwide police was established. And they all existed side by side until 1966. And that is why in those days, if you are selling granules, you can put your granules in front of your house and go to the farm. Somebody will just come, pay, leave the money there, and take the granule you wanted. You don't need to fence your house. You don't need to have a policeman following around, because there are policemen everywhere on the streets. The next neighbor to you may be a policeman. That was the way it was structured. And so, as we approach independence, our founding fathers, Zeke, Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, all of them, had agreed that for us to live peacefully in a multiracial, large country, multi-ethnic, we need to adopt a federal system of government. And federal system of government comes with certain characteristics.